If you're on the replay, thanks for joining us on the replay. And on this episode, on this Periscope episode, I'm actually going to interview Chris Record. And for those that don't know him, he's a 7-figure internet marketer, and he's been responsible for some major launches that have happened this year. And we've been friends for a little while now, and I finally got an opportunity to get to sit down with him and actually interview him for you guys. So it's going to should be an awesome Periscope. Before we get started, in the chat box, let us know where you're from and that you can hear us loud and clear. We're actually outside at a breakfast joint. So let us know that you can hear us loud and clear, guys. Put a 1 or tell us where you're from.
Thank you.
You can hear us great. Can you hear us loud and clear?
I'm just going to keep drinking coffee during this because I'm only on a few hours sleep, but I'm down to hang with everybody.
Houston, Texas. What's up, Houston, Texas? Norway. Awesome, man. I love seeing people from out of the country. Memphis. Yeah, loud and clear. Awesome. Awesome, guys. And hey, by the way, while we're waiting for people to join, go ahead and share this one, because this is going to be impactful. This is going to be a major. I'm going to ask Chris some major questions here.
Give them an example of some of the questions we're going to go over.
Like one of the questions is going to be a turning point. What were some of the turning points you had in your life that made you change, that had major mind shifts? What were some ahas that we can give the audience? Stuff like that. What's the number one thing that you feel everyone is missing from being successful? Those are just some of the questions. I'm far away in Roseville. Yeah, you're very far away from us. Very far.
We're over by Studio Movie Grill in Rockland.
Yeah.
Just down the street from it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting your followers too as well, guys. Let's get some more people on here before we get started. I want you guys to I want this to be a very impactful message for you guys. I want this to be possibly even life-changing. What's up? Someone from Mexico? Right on. Also too, for those that are just joining us that don't know who we are, my name's Carl Schickert. I'm an entrepreneur. I believe in multiple streams of income, and I've got a background in sales, and I love helping people make money. I'm also joined here with Chris Record. Do you want to introduce yourself to our audience?
What's up? I'm Chris Record from Roseville, California. I'm an internet marketer, so I teach people how to make money online through training courses and through software. So Carl asked if I could spend a few minutes and do an interview with him right now for his channel. So I'm here to answer Carl's questions and anybody else's questions. Hopefully I can make this time worth your, valuable to you right now. Since we're all investing a little bit of time together, I'll do my best to make it valuable for you.
So guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and just remember, tap hard, share this one, because this one's going to be big for even your followers. It's going to help you guys out. I've got about 10 different questions here that I've formulated for Chris, and this was just an opportunity that I got, guys. So share this out. All right? Yeah, awesome. Thanks for inviting your followers. So Chris, I've got a couple of questions for you, and as always, I know you like to give tons and tons of value, so I just want to share some of these questions with you. So the first question I have for Chris is about turning points. What were some major turning points you had in life that actually had some major impactful changes in your life that you can share with our audience?
Okay, so a couple. I'll try to keep the answers brief, but when I was really young, I used to kind of be a little bit of a misfit, a little bit of a hoodlum, and I hung with kind of the wrong crowd. And at some point, I came to the realization that a lot of them were holding me back. And if I wanted to really kind of have a breakthrough and become an entrepreneur and be successful, that I had to align myself with some new friends. So what I did was, one of my biggest kind of turning points and breakthroughs was when I went and changed up my the people I associated with the most. I remember that one of these public speakers that I listened to at a conference, he said, your income will be the average of the 5 people you associate with the most. Not just your income, but your lifestyle, the things that you do, everything will be the average of the 5 people you associate with the most. And I looked at my top 5 people, and pretty much all of them owed me money, So like, not only was it bringing down my income, but also they really had like an anti-entrepreneurial spirit. They were just all about, getting in trouble, meeting girls, just going out and living that kind of life. So my biggest turning point was realizing that I needed to create new association and getting around some positive people, getting around people that really wanted to make a difference out there and really wanted to be successful and abundant. That was one of my big turning points. I know there's a lot to share, But I would say that's something I haven't shared before with a lot of people, is at some point I had to basically clean up my friends list in real life, you know, not just on social media, but actually in real life, to be able to associate with people that were more like-minded and be able to increase the top 5. So I started hanging out with people that were 6- and 7-figure income earners, and it wasn't easy. It took me a while to get that kind of association, and a lot of them I was basically serving them for free. I was basically doing like internships, just getting around them. I did an apprenticeship with a multimillionaire. I did another guy who was an author, and he was shipping out all of his books. And I said, hey, I'll do that for you just to get around you. And I was literally like helping package his books and ship them out. I mean, I was just looking for opportunities to learn from people. So that's a big one, you guys. Figure out who's the top 5 people in your circle you associate with the most, and hopefully every single one of those top 5 people you associate with the most, hopefully those are people you look up to, that you're looking to get to their level.
Awesome. And that was definitely some good stuff. So basically, like, realizing who your surroundings are and what their income is. Like they say that your network is your net worth, and cleaning that list up, definitely. And then also finding mentorship is very important, especially with people that have already done it. You know, you have to find masters out there that have already done it, because those are the true ones that can actually teach you something. Chris, moving on to the next question, what would you feel was your biggest breakthrough? I know you've had a lot of success this year, and what do you feel like was your biggest breakthrough out of everything that's happened?
So, are you talking recent or just overall?
Overall. Okay.
So I would say my biggest breakthrough was probably overall was back in like 2006, when I was basically had hit rock bottom. I basically found myself getting ready to be evicted from an apartment. I had run out of money. I had a negative bank account. I had already borrowed money from friends and family just to kind of float by a little bit longer. My credit was shot. It was in the 400s, and I'd really kind of hit rock bottom. And the reason that was such a big breakthrough for me was I got to a place emotionally where I was depressed. I was even in a car accident and had whiplash. Okay, so I was like physically hurt and emotionally hurt. Okay, just devastated. And I actually had a talk with my girlfriend at the time, and who's now my wife, but we were just dating back then. And we basically just agreed we would just move back home to our city where our parents lived, that we would just move back home with parents. That was kind of the agreement we made. It was like, let's just take a slice of humble pie and let's go move back in with parents. So you got to realize I was like at defeat. I was an entrepreneur. I had tried it and it didn't work. But then what happened was I gave it one last hurrah. And the breakthrough was that I had to think way outside of the box. The one last thing I was going to do was I gave it a chance to do commission-based sales, selling a product that was $20,000. So first of all, I didn't believe people just had $20,000 to spend, but just on the chance, just on the whim that I could make this thing work, I was willing to give it like 30 days, just all out blitz on this thing, and just every single person that came within 3 feet from me, I would sell them. The product at the time was a real estate investment education company called Nouveau Riche, and it was like a real estate investment education. People were spending $20,000 for a tuition to attend a 2-year college to teach them real estate investing. But it was like 1 week every quarter that they could go to Arizona and they could attend classes. So it wasn't like an official college, but it was like real estate investment education. But they paid 50% commissions when you would sell somebody all cash or whatever. So I had to like overcome so many paradigms. I had to overcome the paradigm of, you know, I don't have any money in order to be able to do advertising, stuff like that. I had to overcome the paradigm of I don't know anybody with money. I had to overcome the paradigm of, you know, things like, do people really spend $20,000 on something, right? Do people even have that kind of money? I had to overcome the paradigm of, you know, do people even have that kind of money on credit cards? You know, like there's so many breakthroughs I had to have all inside of a month. And I just basically went on faith. And so I would say that's probably one of the biggest breakthroughs I had, was bouncing back from a negative bank account and a 485 credit score and being evicted from my apartment, to basically bouncing back and from defeat, from getting ready to move back in with parents, and bouncing back and just becoming a top 5 sales rep in that company. Within a year of selling for that company, I had made close to $500,000 in commissions. I had sold over $1 million in tuitions within a year of basically giving up on entrepreneurship. So that breakthrough was really several mini breakthroughs that I had to overcome all of my traditional beliefs about business, and I had to overcome what society was telling me, that it was a bad economy and that real estate was tanking and that, you know, people didn't have money and credit cards were getting slashed and nobody buys expensive things like that, and you know, and my own financial situation I had to overcome, like how am I going to come up with money? So it was a series of breakthroughs, and that was the biggest defining moment in my life.
It seems like it was really a change of relationship with money and your limiting beliefs about it. So yeah, it's definitely
yeah, instead of saying, what I did different that time was, instead of saying I can't, I had a habit of just telling myself I either can do things or I can't do things. And my normal intuition would say I can't afford this right now, I can't sell $20,000. And I used to say I can't. My new that new breakthrough, what I basically learned to say in that situation was, how can I? So instead of saying I can't, I started saying how can I? And I just started being open-minded to the possibility that maybe I could. You know?
So that's a good thing right there, guys, is the fact that every time you say you can't, even if you're saying it to yourself, catch yourself and say, how can I? Just change that vocabulary right there. I think that would be, I think a lot of people would benefit from that.
Okay, what's the next one?
Yeah, so moving on to the next one is, who are your mentors?
Who are my mentors? At every like defining moment in my career so far, it's been a different mentor. I'm not one of those guys that's had one mentor sort of through my career, you know. So I've had several mentors depending on where I was in that phase of my career. And so I have numerous mentors. There's no one specific person I would go to. You know, there was a time, for instance, that that when I was in network marketing, when I first got started in this industry, I got started in network marketing, and I would say my mentor back then was, well, numerous mentors, but one of the guys I looked up to and admired and studied from is this guy named Chuck Getchell, and he was a diamond position in this company called Quickstar, and he basically had a team of like 5,000 people or something like that, and I just started modeling after this guy. I would actually get like his, back then, before DVDs, I would actually get the VHS cassettes, or maybe they had DVDs, but we didn't have them. I'd actually, yeah, get the VHS cassette of him speaking on stage, and I would put it in my VCR, and I would play it, and I would put it on mute, and I would just watch his hand. I would just watch his hand movements and what he would do and how he would show things and how he would explain things, you know. And I'd watch these hand movements, and I would basically just sit there in front of the TV and like model after them. And then I would watch how he moved around the stage, and then he would pivot and he would stall and he would look, and then I'd watch him move to the other side of the stage and plant and stall and watch the middle, and I'd watch him do all this kind of stuff. And I literally just kind of studied under this guy indirectly because he lived 8 hours away from me. And I kid you not, but I would travel like 8 hours just to have coffee for an hour with him.
1 second, guys.
1 second.
We have our brunch coming. Thank you.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
That looks really good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, those fish tacos look.
They look pretty bomb. You can
good.
have one if you want.
Oh, it's alright. I got plenty of food here.
So guys, I don't want to keep you here too much longer. We're gonna probably eat here soon, but I do have a couple more questions. That was really cool. I never knew that.
Let me tell one part about that. So
Okay.
like that mentor Chuck Getchell, I asked him if I could just get 1 hour of his time, 1 hour of his time for coffee, okay? And I drove, and I made up some excuse too about how I was already going to be in like the Los Angeles area, but really I wasn't. And I drove, it actually only took about 6 hours. I drove 6 hours to get down there, and I had lied to him and told him I was already down there, but I really wasn't. I only came down to meet with him. I drove 6 hours there, met with him for 1 hour at a Starbucks, and then drove 6 hours back all in the same day. And he didn't even know that I did that, but that's just how much I just wanted to pick his brain. And the very first thing, when I first showed up, very first thing out of his mouth, and this is like crazy, it's a true story. It'd be funny to get him to tell this story at some point if I ever interview him or something. The very first thing he told me was, he said, "Chris," he said, "can I give you a quick piece of advice before we get started?" And I said, "Yeah, go for it, anything, I'm wide open." He said, "Take off your watch." That's the first thing he said to me. He said, "Chris, take off that watch." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Take off your watch." And so I took off the watch, and he goes, "Don't wear that watch." And I was like, interesting. I was like, "Why not wear the watch?" He goes, "Chris, that's a fake watch." He's like, you have a fake watch. It's got like cubic zirconia, you know, stuff in there. He goes, you're basically trying to like floss this really nice watch. Yeah, he says you're trying to pretend, you're trying to be someone you're not. You're trying to wear this fancy watch, and you're trying to project this image that you're more successful than you are. He goes, look at this watch here. He goes, this is a Rolex. His watch was a Rolex. He goes, I had this on my dream board for 5 years, and I waited 5 years until I could go and I could buy it. And even when I bought it, I think he bought it used. And he said, I put this on my dream board. He goes, you gotta set real goals, real dreams, and you gotta go out there and actually discipline yourself to wait until you've earned it before you go and do there, and don't fake it. That was the very first thing that he told me when we sat down. He said, now that that's out of the way, let's get down to business. And the other thing he told me there was, I said, how do you discipline yourself so much, man? How do you do so much in a day? And he said, you know what? He said, Chris, integrity is when you make a promise to yourself and you keep it. He said, he goes, the key is make a promise to yourself and keep it. No one else is gonna hold you accountable the way that you'll hold yourself accountable. So he says, you set your goals, you make a decision, and then you basically make a promise to yourself and you keep it, and you just follow through on that promise. And I remember that advice for life. So that is an example of mentorship, and that was just one example. From there, you can only imagine I've had maybe 20 or 30 mentors. That was when I was 21 years old. I'm 37 now. So you got to imagine that I've had, 15 years of multiple mentors
that was
since
one of
then.
the first big mentors.
That was one of the first big mentors. Yeah, the first time I got lunch with a millionaire. That was the very first time.
That's pretty cool. So, like I said, I don't want to keep us with too many more questions here just because we've got our food, and I just want to make this, like I said, I want to make this one very impactful for the people that are with us, the people that are joining us. I saw some people had some questions too, like what are some upcoming projects that you're working on right now?
Well, I've got my my 3C conference, the Create, Capture, Convert conference. I'm looking to grow that twice a year. I want to basically have one every January and every July, twice a year. And we had several hundred people at my very first one last July. So we're hoping to grow this number and just keep growing it. This January, we're hoping to pack out a room, and then July, we're hoping to have, well over 1,000 people in attendance, maybe even more. So that's the 3C conference, is something where I can basically get powerful speakers all in a room, get the audience, and then sell the conference brand. Yeah, maybe. That's why it's not called the Chris Record Conference. It's called the Create, Capture, Convert Conference, so it can be used for any industry. So that's one example of something I'm working on. I'm also working on, really getting better at software development. I've invested a lot of money. I've invested 6 figures into a software company where I'm the majority owner and the sole investor. We have an office in Austin, Texas. I have a partner that runs that. So, once we kind of get that a little bit more dialed in, we'll start, really making a move in the software industry. And, I've got some product launches coming up. I have my most popular course is called Dark Post Profits. We're launching version 3.0 in January. I think that'll do over $1 million in a week. And that'll be probably my first, $1 million, officially $1 million launch. So I've got some exciting things, and also philanthropy. This, as you notice, if you've been following me at all, you notice I've really stepped up my game in philanthropy, and I'm really hoping to keep that going and starting to actually create like a syndicate of people where we can all raise money for charities and do things together. I think that'll be fun. So product launches, software company, conferences, charities, got a lot on my plate.
Where do you, one more question here, where do you see yourself in 2 years?
So 2 years. So let's say 2016 comes and goes, 2017 comes and goes. Let's say January 2018. I think I'll have had my first $10 million a year in business. I think I'll have conferences that can reach about 5,000 people in the audience at a time. So I'll probably do a lot more time speaking. I'll have had 2 books that hopefully will be bestsellers. One of them will be a book about internet marketing, more strategy based, and another one will be a book about my story. So I'll probably spend a lot more time traveling and speaking because as an author, that's one of the big ways to be able to get exposure. And I'll be able to spend more, because financially I think I'll be better off, so I'll be able to spend even more time serving and giving value like this in mentorship, as well as not only here like on scope and stuff like that, but also in terms of philanthropy. So I do think that give me 2 years, and I think that I'll be able to get to the point where we're probably donating around $1 million a year to charities, and having about 5,000 people attend events, and having tens of thousands of books sold. So I think that's kind of the direction that I see myself going. And then also, it's really, if you guys follow me at all, I'm on I've got a daily goal to try to balance the 5 F's: faith, family, friendships, fitness, finances. Faith, family, friends, fitness, finances. And so I just don't want to lose sight of that. So in the goal, and those big goals, whenever I say big goals like that, it's never at the compromise of faith. It's never at the compromise of family. It's never at the compromise of friendships and social life and having fun. It's never at the compromise of health. And so sometimes people get a little carried away financially, and it's just all people focus on is money, 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 money. If you make compromises in all those other areas, then it's just not worth it. And so trying to maintain that balance between those 5 F's along the journey.
Is that the 5 F's? Will that be basically what one of the books will be about?
It won't. I thought about writing that as a book. Yeah, I think it'll just be part of it.
Okay. Awesome, guys. Well, there you have it. Chris Record, 7-figure and soon to be 8-figure internet marketer with books and software and informational products and philanthropy. I can't even say that word right. Just all around great person. The 5 F's is definitely one of those things. It's a balancing act, and I want to thank you for being on my Periscope today and helping our people here. And also, too, guys, just as a call to action at the end, if you want to get a replay of this video after Periscope takes it off, you can go to winatlife.us, winatlife.us. And if someone wants to put that there into the chat, you can. Basically, what you'll get there is a top 20 productivity ebook where you can get tons and tons of tips on productivity, because that's something that I'm very big about. And then on top of that, you'll get access to all of our replays. Yeah, thanks Akumi for posting that. And
What's up, Akumi?
And you guys will get access to all of our videos, all these videos I do on Periscope, and any goodies that come along the way. So I want to thank you guys for joining us. Hey.
Look at those. Look at how good those look.
Look pretty good, actually. They said they do everything in-house, whatever that means. They grow the fish, they catch it, then they fillet it. They do everything. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you all go, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it as well. And we'll see you soon on the next Scope.